It's a very interesting Twitter thread. Quite disturbing though, unfortunately, by Kevin Gostola here. Really great follow on Twitter if you're not following him. Detailing some of the horrible individuals on the Biden-Harris transition team. Again, unfortunately, this isn't surprising. The reason Biden was propped up so heavily because he is a mouthpiece for the status quo, and like he said, nothing's going to fundamentally change, and that's very clearly evident from who is listed on the Biden-Harris transition team. Some really fucked up people, unfortunately. So here's one. Matt Olson is a former Obama admin official. He was National Counterterrorism Center Director, briefly the NSA General Counsel and Executive Director for Gitmo Review Task Force. He is a volunteer for the Intelligence Community Group. 2018, Olson went to work for Uber as the corporation's chief security officer. Uber joined with other corporations and spent hundreds of millions of dollars to pass Prop 22 so they could keep continually fucking over the people that work for Lyft and Uber, are exempt from the minimum wage. Doesn't think people deserve a minimum wage if they work for Uber and Lyft. Biden's transition team member, Intelligence Community Group. Real fucking piece of shit. Olson has contended what NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden revealed had little to do with privacy and civil liberties, a talking point former officials have repeated to discredit him. He also insists terrorists change their behavior to avoid really, this motherfucker thinks what Edward Snowden did, revealing how the NSA was spying on people in the US and people all over the world, had nothing to do with privacy and civil liberties. Real fucking gem right there. Olson defended backdoor searches of Americans' internet communications. Quote, no principled or logical limit to view of critics that FBI should have to establish probable cause and get permission of judge to look at information that's already been... I mean, this dude does not give a shit for your constitutional rights or what used to be considered constitutional rights whatsoever. So there's just a lot of shit on this Olson guy. Let's move on. Greg Vogel is a partner for the McChrystal Group, which was founded by Stanley McChrystal, former commander of Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC. He was the CIA head of Station Afghanistan. Vogel is a volunteer for Intelligence Community Group. Vogel was an advisor for DGC International, a U.S. military contractor founded and headed by Afghan businessman Mustafa Zamani. Apologize if I mispronounce their name. Examples of some of the services DGC provides to U.S. military can maintain its dominating presence in the Middle East. Air Force awards DGCI construction contract, DGC International Order contract in Kuwait and Bahrain. So just again, part and parcel of the military-industrial complex. Eric Velez Villar spent 30 years at FBI and eventually was a senior executive for intelligence branch. He left to become head of security for Disney parks and resorts and protect corporations' sensitive info. He is volunteer for the Intelligence Community Group. Carmen Middleton also worked for Disney. She is former deputy director of the CIA. Anybody that works for the CIA, I'm sorry, you're a complete fucking piece of shit. As if you have Netflix or maybe want to buy it or rent it, The Untold History of the United States, Oliver Stone comes out with the accurate acronym for the CIA. It's Capitalism's Invisible Assassins. It's not the Central Intelligence Agency. Disgusting. You work with the CIA, you can fuck off. Bob Litt is the former general counsel for the Office of Director for National Intelligence, ODNI. He worked with James Clapper and was involved in U.S. intelligence response to Snowden's whistleblowing. again, just a bunch of fucking hacks for the military-industrial complex and the owner class. It is volunteer for the intelligence community group. Here's Lit defending Clapper after the New York Times published an editorial suggesting Clapper lied to Congress about the collections of Americans' phone metadata. Yeah. When any American newspaper revealed some new aspect of mass surveillance program operated by U.S. Gov, for example, how NSA stored location data for hundreds of millions of devices, it was Lit who deployed to make sure it did not erupt into a scandal which led to reform. Let's see. Let's see. The National Security Agency, fuck off, get off there, is gathering nearly 5 billion records a day on the whereabouts of cell phones around the world. Oh, Jesus. So this is Lit. This is what he says. There's no element of the intelligence community that under any authority is intentionally collecting bulk cell phone location information about cell phones in the United States. All the while the NSA was collecting 5 billion records a day. Yeah. Can really believe you, you fucking hack. God damn. Linda Thomas Greenfield, a U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, has been the Senior Vice President for Albright Stonebridge Group's Africa section. Thomas Greenfield is a volunteer team led for the State Department group. As developer and manager for U.S. policy towards sub-Saharan Africa, was a cheerleader for President George W. Bush's Millennium Challenge account. The MCA is neocolonialism. It is designed to privilege U.S. corporations and enable exploitation of emerging African economies. Jesus. This is Thomas Greenfield. That is Thomas Greenfield is the lead for State Department agency review group. That may be one of the clearest indications Biden will nominate Susan Rice to... Oh, God. Fucking Susan Rice is so horrible. Jesus. Yeah, fuck. I mean, again, Biden said nothing will fundamentally change. If this isn't evidence of that, I don't know what the fuck is. And so, yeah, this Thomas Greenfield works for Stonebridge Group. Is a global consulting firm chaired by former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, fucking war criminal through and through, who in the 90s defended the sanctions, the deadly sanctions that led to at least 500,000 Iraqi children dying. She defended that. It's fucking disgusting. It's just, yeah. Here it is.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Yeah, fucking disgusting, right? Roberta Jacobson is a former U.S. ambassador to Mexico and describes herself as an expert on Latin American business and politics. She has worked for Albright Stonebridge Group. She is a volunteer for the State Department group. 2014, U.S.-backed right-wing opposition seized envoy left by Hugo Chavez's desk to out Nicolas Maduro. They set up blockades in streets, resulting in a number of deaths. Jacobson joined other officials in ignoring their tactics and backing their efforts, of course. Let's see. Derek Cholet and Ellison Laskowski are both affiliated with the German Marshall Fund. GMF spent the Trump administration supporting a project called the Alliance for Security Democracy. Both Cholet and Laskowski are on the State Department group. Alliance for Security and Democracy, Russian influence operations. Dana Stroll is a fellow with the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, WINEP. It was founded by AIPAC, or the Israeli Lobby. Stroll is a volunteer for their State Department group. Jesus. Stroll was part of the bipartisan Syria study group that Congress appointed, which plotted out the next phase of U.S. regime change policy in Syria. Here is Stroll saying U.S. maintained military presence to control Syria's resources and influence a political outcome. This is some fucking real humanitarians, man, on this transition.
Talked about needing to retain a U.S. military presence in that 1/3 of Syria was not only about completing the anti-ISIS fight, it was about the broader leverage of that 1/3 of Syria, which is the resource-rich.
It's about the oil, huh?
Provided us leverage to influence the political.
It's just fucking disgusting. I mean, for fuck's sake. Chris Liu was Deputy Secretary of Labor for President Barack Obama and cheerleader for the TPP. Huge giveaway to these massive corporations, transnational corporations. He was Vice Chair of 2020 Democratic National Convention Rules Committee. Volunteer team to lead Labor Department group. Wow, that's great. This, I mean, just the list. I haven't seen one fucking person on here that seems like a good fucking individual. Like, just war criminals, completely beholden to the military-industrial complex and the security state. Neil McBride was U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. He was Chief Counsel for Biden when he was U.S. Senator. McBride is a volunteer for the Justice Department group. McBride oversaw a grand jury investigation against WikiLeaks until he resigned from his position as U.S. Attorney in 2013. He prosecuted CIA whistleblowers John Kirikow and Jeffrey Sterling. Here's McBride in July 2013 at an Aspen Security Forum event. He's asked about Obama admin's record number of leaked prosecutions under Espionage Act. Have you gone overboard, Neil? No, I don't think we have. What a fucking pile.
The handful of cases that my office is focused
Piece
on
of shit.
are a very small subset of the overall universe of classified information. And as the folks here on the panel know, that is referred to as NDI, National Defense Information. And so in order to bring a criminal case for the unauthorized release of NDI, it's a fairly high threshold. You need to show that this is information that is critical to the national defense, that the release of which can benefit a foreign government and or hurt the United States. And so
have you gone overboard, Neil?
No, I don't believe we have. I think that the Attorney General, others have talked about the
Yeah, nothing to see here. Just record number of prosecutions for whistleblowers, but yeah, let's keep amping that up. Let's keep doing that. Yeah. Here he is defending subpoenas against New York Times reporter James Risen. Oh, Christ. And then we also have this person, Cecilia Munoz. Biden has appointed Cecilia Munoz, former head of Obama's Domestic Policy Council, to his transition team. Munoz is best known for her role in the mass deportation of immigrants. She is loathed by the very immigration activists who delivered states like Arizona to Biden. When questioned, and I actually saw this, you can verify this tweet if you want. When questioned about the Obama admin's inhumane deportation policy in 2011 on PBS, Munoz said, quote, "As long as Congress give us the money to deport 400,000 immigrants a year, that's what the administration will do." I mean, for fuck's sake. Check this out. Cecilia Munoz is the one person besides Stephen Miller who has spent years of her public service dedicated to the smooth execution of mass deportation policy at the West Wing level, said Pablo Manriquez, a former Democratic National Committee spokesman. Wow. And this person has it right. The most progressive administration in history. Again, just because Biden defeated Trump, does that mean we can all go back to brunch, go back to sleep, not worry about stuff? Of course not. But again, there's a reason why they propped up Joe Biden, because he was going to carry on the exact same shit, the exact same inhumane, disgusting policies, both foreign and domestic, that Trump did, but he just has, you know, a smoother veneer. He's not as crass. He's not going to, you know, use bad language. He's not going to talk about grabbing people by their pussy. Bad stuff, obviously, but, I mean, look, the deportations are going to continue. They're not going to, you know, abolish ICE. They're not going to reel in the military-industrial complex. They're not going to protect our civil liberties. Biden said he would veto Medicare for all if somehow it passed the House and Congress. Doesn't support a ban on fracking. Wants to give the police more money. Instead of shooting people in the heart, Biden said, shoot them in the leg. Maybe it'll hit their femoral artery. Kill them that way. So it's a fucking shit show, and this transition team is just a, you know, reflection of Biden being completely bought and paid for by the business class, by the military industrial complex, and by these moneyed interests. And that's how Biden-Harris administration is going to govern. It's going to, you know, give you the woke language and, you know, present a much better outward picture while still continuing the same fucked up and deranged policies that Trump is doing right now. So not good. Share your thoughts. Peace.